Good afternoon, boys and girls, and you're on the Recruiter Podcast. And I am so happy, amazed, give me some other adjectives here, honored, blessed to have...
Bewildered.
Bewildered. Bewildered I'm not. But I have Keith Fenimore and his mother, Marianne Fenimore.
Hi.
Welcome. Thanks so much for doing this, especially after the fiasco. What was it, two weeks ago? I think it was it 2 weeks ago, I think?
Yeah, roughly.
I was all pumped up, done my research, driving up here. I'm flying up here. I drive really fast anyway, and I had just bought this car. It was a Mercedes AMG. And so I wanted to see how fast it really goes, and it goes really fast out there. For those of you that have never driven one, it's a little scary fast. So, and all of a sudden, 8 zillion lights come up on the dash, and it's like, oh, that's not good.
Wow.
And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to miss a podcast. That had never happened. And it's like, oh man. And it was a horrible day, and I feel so bad about that, but thank you for rescheduling with us. I'm really happy.
Craig, I have had people decide not to meet me at times, but they've never created such an elaborate scheme to get out of it.
Now, had this been after they met you or before?
Well, both circumstances, but yeah. I mean, I kind of believe the fact that you were broken down, but then like the whole bear attack, I didn't really understand where that came from on the side of the Atlantic City Expressway.
Hey, Adam, are we loud? It seems a little loud. We good?
You can turn it down. You can adjust your headset.
All right, well, don't yell at me. Adam, the millionaire producer from All Systems Go AV. And actually, thank you to Adam and the group here at All Systems Go AV.
See that control there?
Yeah, this one?
Yeah, you can turn yours down a little bit.
All right, yeah. Okay, that's better. Thank you, millionaire producer Adam from All Systems Go AV that put us together here today. So let's get this thing started. So I was in high school, and how old was I? 16, almost 17. And my mom, when you're in high school, it's like, let's see, what was I concerned about? Pimples, girls, sports. That was me. That was about it,
I'm 48 and I'm still concerned about the same thing.
It's
weird.
Well, you're married, so you can't be concerned about girls. So,
Well, a girl.
Okay.
Just her.
All right, good. All right, shout out to Christina out there. My daughter-in-law is Christina with a C. So
Yeah, Christina with a K was going to be here, but then we had the kids to contend with. We didn't realize it was parent-teacher conference day.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh. How many kids you got?
How many? Is that 2?
Yeah.
And a dog. 3, really.
2 and a dog, yeah.
Boys, girls?
I have a 9.5-year-old son named Case and a 4.5-year-old daughter named Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas.
And one wife,
Yeah.
Christina.
And your dog?
Sonny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of dog we got?
He's a chocolate Labradoodle. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dog comes to the podcast every once in a while.
Oh.
She's a rescue. She's a miracle dog. She's been through some she could be a whole podcast. I mean, she's been in a couple of kill shoulders.
Really?
Yeah. Some, let's see, I really don't want to use that language, but a really horrible person tattooed the satanic tattoo on her private parts. And just, when I got her, she didn't even know how to walk. I mean, like on a leash, or she had no clue how to be a dog, like at all. So, yeah, I've had her almost 8 years now, so she's awesome. But she's gone through unbelievable surgeries and just all kinds. She is the most expensive rescue animal on the face of the earth. It's like, okay, how much? Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's a pretty cool dog. So at any rate, I'm in high school, and it's like, I don't know how it came up. I don't recall really, frankly, embarrassingly enough. Horrible on my part, but long story short, my mom had breast cancer and had to have a mastectomy. And it was like, this is the late 60s. And it's like, there was like, what's a mastectomy? It's like, I was probably not alone in not knowing. Probably like very few people were aware, to borrow from Cancer Awareness Month, but it was like, I didn't know. It was like, okay, well,
Yeah, and
it's
It was
the
a
people that
secret.
we've spoken to, there was a stigma to it back then that thankfully there isn't now. Now it's like people rally behind you, and I think that's
Yeah.
been a major force for Pine2Pink. But there was it was kind of stigmatized, so you went through it alone and quietly and
It was an
shamefully
embarrassment.
almost. Yeah.
right. In Marianne, this is, from what I understand, this is the foundation, and Pine2Pink, which is the nonprofit foundation that is that you guys have put together. The impetus, the motivation was from you, correct?
Me and my mom.
Yeah.
And your mom.
Yep.
Oh, really?
She passed in 65. So I was in high school also.
So you get it, kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did your
Yep.
mom pass, or did she?
Yeah, she did, but esophagus cancer,
Oh.
oddly enough. But
So
yeah,
metastasized? Is that?
no, I don't think they tied the two together.
I don't think they knew back then about, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was a horrible way for her to
Yeah.
go. It was just brutal. A good friend of mine in the automobile business just found out he has esophagus cancer, and it's that is a brutal. Not that any cancer is good.
Right.
That one's brutal. It's there's not a lot of
Yeah.
percentages that
Right.
go with that. So, but could you tell us your story a little bit, whatever you care to share?
So I was 15. My mom was diagnosed, and it was kept very, very quiet. When she passed, her parents didn't even know. We had to go to them and say, "Your daughter's dead."
Really?
Yeah, it was a secret. It was terrible. But she had one breast cancer and one breast. She had a mastectomy. Following year, she had a hysterectomy. Then she had another mastectomy, and then the year after that, she was dead. So she was 41. And I always feel that the gift that she gave me was life,
Right.
because I was sorry.
Oh yeah.
No, that's okay.
I was very proactive. I was very aware of my own body, and I caught it. When I got it, I caught it very, very early.
This is plain.
Thank you. And I was very proactive, and I just had a bilateral mastectomy, and I was done, and I'm fine.
Oh, okay. So, preemptively?
No, I had breast cancer. They
Oh, okay.
found
Okay,
they
okay.
found a very early cancer.
Okay.
And when I went to University of Penn, when I went to the doctor and I said what I wanted to do was have a bilateral mastectomy, she said, "You can't do that. You have to talk to your family." And I said, "My family knows."
Right.
That was something
Because it was
that
going to be
we
like
had-
a lumpectomy, and then it was going to be like chemoradiation. They were going
Right.
to say, you're good for now, but you didn't want to. You didn't want to deal
No.
with that.
No, I saw what my mother went through. So I said, I knew I would never sleep again.
And they said you have to talk to
Well,
your
it was just, she was very, very kind.
okay.
Linda Callens was her name. She just felt that I needed to speak with my husband and my son. And they already knew what my decision would have been. And I never regretted it.
Right.
So it was tough, but I'm very, very fortunate.
Right. And so, and your mom had breast cancer.
Yeah.
And do you know any further back than that?
I know that my father's sister had breast cancer.
Other sister. Okay.
And I don't know of any other cancer in my family, in my mother's family.
In doing some research, and it's conflicting, as the internet typically is. What I read was some of the parts I read was that it's not hereditary, that it's a mutation of cells, and it can just happen.
Yep.
However, then when you read about preemptive mastectomies, which is, I don't know, saying it's a thing sounds weird, but it's a thing, right? So, but women are doing that based on hereditary. And the chances, because of, like in your situation, the likelihood of it happening. But So what's true? Do you guys? What's your thoughts on that? Is it genetic? I guess it would have to be
I think
partially.
it has to be. I mean, they have a lot of genetic testing now, and I had
right.
the BRCA. I do not have the BRCA gene. I had genetic testing
BRCA,
for
yeah,
that,
that's
for
right,
the
right,
BRCA,
right.
but there are so many genes they're that's one test.
Right.
So hopefully with research, they'll be testing for more.
Right.
But I didn't have that gene, so I don't know.
Right.
And that's above my pay grade as far as like, when it gets to medical, I kind of stay away. I'm not trained. It's not my background, my expertise. Whenever I have a question that's posed to me, a lot of times I'll consult experts in the medical field that I work with, and that helps me kind of get a direction. But with my nonprofit in particular, really, if you strip everything down, we are an awareness machine and a marketing machine that rallies people to donate in order to provide funds for those going through treatment and recovery. So, and I'm learning as I go, as far as the world of breast cancer and the needs of those people that are going through it, irregardless of how they had come to it and what stage they're in.
Right.
And it has been pretty telling and interesting where you speak to people who are survivors. You speak to people who are currently in treatment, and then you speak to people where the breast cancer has metastasized and gone to another part of their body where they're going to be in kind of treatment for the remainder of their lives. But yeah, I don't think my mom and I would ever be in a position to make any sort of comment on
Right.
Genetic testing and whether people should or shouldn't
Yeah.
have preemptive surgery or anything.
I know
Yeah.
it sounds so drastic and dramatic. However, if it's life saving, I'm in that line,
Right.
right?
Well,
Now,
that was your thing, Mom. I mean, you didn't want to just treat your isolated case and then
No.
just go in and keep getting tested because you weren't going to feel comfortable in your
Right.
own skin
Right.
if you didn't do what you did, and
Yeah.
that was a good decision for you, but that doesn't mean it's a
It
good
doesn't
decision.
mean it's
Right.
it's just a good decision for everybody.
Right.
I found through this, I met a lot of people that you need to do what you feel, what's in your heart, and what you can live with. Some people just have, lumpectomy, they have their treatment, and they're fine.
Right.
But that was good for them. I just knew, knowing what I went through with my mom, that I couldn't do that. And as it turned out, they found precancerous cells on my other breast. So in my mind, it was a matter of time.
Okay.
So,
So you decided to have a
and I didn't know that until after my surgery.
A bilateral. So yeah.
But yeah, I had
Okay.
bilateral, but I didn't know that, until after the surgery.
all right.
But
And is there? So I mean, a mastectomy is really the only way to go. Rather than there's no way to treat it with radiation up front, right? Am I correct in saying that?
no,
Or
there
is
is.
without a mastectomy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And many women just do that.
Yeah.
Either radiation or chemo.
Yeah. Boy, that would always, I would think, this is a man talking, so, although men get it,
Right.
but it would, in my mind, I would always be, if I didn't have a mastectomy, it would always be in my mind if I just went with radiation and chemotherapy.
And I think it is. And I know a lot of friends of mine that have had that.
Right.
They worry, and then they forget until it's mammogram time.
Right.
And it's a constant checking.
And forgive me, because I think you said this, and but you had radiation.
No, I did not.
Oh, you did not?
I did
Okay.
not.
Radiation's brutal.
Yeah.
I've gone through a lot of it. I've had a lot of skin cancer, and I have a little hole here in my head, and it's like, it's only seconds, but it's like 30 treatments, like 5 days a week for 6 straight weeks, and it's like, whew. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it's not good for you, as it turns out. It's really not. I just had a brain MRI, and my family doctor wrote out a script for me to go to see a neurologist, and on this script he put abnormal MRI, and I said,
What
So
is that?
I laugh. I go, "You're calling my brain abnormal, dude?" Like I've known him a long time. He said, "Yeah, I probably should have phrased that differently."
Is that like a get in line
I said,
statement?
yeah, right. Exactly. It's like, okay, well, so, but, so I walk into the doctor's office or the neurologist's office, and he goes, and he looks at the MRI, and he goes, so let me ask you something. Heavy drinker, extensive radiation? I said, dude, are you a wizard? Or he said, what do you mean? I said, well, 25, I've been sober 26 years. I said, yeah, 26 years ago, I was a major heavy drinker. I said, and I just got done with radiation. He said, well, that's what that cloud is. I said, oh. Awesome. Wow. Great. I'll keep that in mind. Next time I get skin cancer, I'll go ahead and have it, what do they call it, moss or something?
That moss surgery. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I don't know about that, but we'll see if that comes around. But speaking of skin cancer, again, in the research I did, I don't know if you guys can verify this or not, again, the internet, but breast cancer is the second largest cancer to skin cancer. I read, which is
I don't know.
weird.
Is
Yeah, that's what the study said. But skin cancer can go into a million different things. You can have basal cell or this or that, and it's like
Right.
not life threatening. Where obviously breast cancer is a whole different deal.
Yeah, it's prevalent. I mean, 1 in 8, I think, is the statistic.
1 in 8
and,
is exactly right.
And then with heart disease, and women's even higher. I
Yeah,
think,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so there's a whole host of amazing things out there
Yeah,
for us to contract one way or another. I think
Yeah.
the idea with any of it is, like you pay attention to your body and you be proactive, and
Right.
if you see something, you say something, or if you feel something, you go and get checked out. But I mean, that's really all we can do. I mean, I'm trying to. I was a late bloomer and had young kids when I was, I could have kids in college right now. I have one in pre-K, but I'm trying to do everything. I work out pretty regularly, and I try to eat well. And people are like, "What are you training for?" I said, "I'm training just to stay alive, man."
Right.
And so I think like any of us, you just try to do the best you can and navigate the stuff, and eat what you can that's healthy and good, and
Right.
live a clean life if you can, and then hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, what you said is really a lot of the things you said is very important. But to your point, being aware, because I would think as a woman, one of the scariest things is say, okay, like to give you an example, my controller right now, she has a itch, it's itching, and her and I are real close. All my employees are we are one big family, and it's like we're talking about something, and she told me, I got to go for a mammogram tomorrow or the following day, whatever it was. I said, why? And she said, well, I have an itch, and I'm concerned about it. I said, okay, good. Well, I really don't want to go. I said, doesn't matter, go. Yeah, but I really don't. I said, go.
Yeah.
And she's still dealing with it because they haven't found anything, which thank God is. I mean, that's a good thing. But they got to figure out why
Right.
there's an itch and
Yeah.
there's a little lump, and it's like, she don't know what to do.
Just don't Google it is the point.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
schedule an
man.
appointment and go, because you
Wow.
can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I always tell people to have a second opinion. I mean, if one doctor just blows it off and says it's nothing,
Yeah,
in my mind, I
Yeah,
would
man.
just get a second opinion.
Because-
that's great idea.
Yeah.
That's really good advice.
I mean, that was one thing after you, for years, just with meeting with the women's support groups and going and helping newer people that were coming in and that sort of thing. You've probably talked to hundreds of people
Yeah.
in different stages and know how many stories about people who felt something wasn't right, and you suggested maybe getting a second opinion, or they did on their own, and it changed their lives or saved their lives.
All right. Well, that's a good point, too. And there are many support groups, from what I understand, again, reading online, doing some research, but there really aren't there?
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, probably 15, 20 years ago didn't exist.
No, and I went, actually, it's funny, my old boss, Dawn Steer, took me to my very first support group meeting.
Shout out to,
Oh,
what's
really?
his name?
To Dawn Steer. She just thought that I needed somebody to talk to. And I went, I got, and it just was, it was good to talk to people because people say, oh, yes, I understand, or, oh, how do you, how are you going through that? Or, but when you speak with women who are going through the same thing that you're going through, everybody kind of has a camaraderie, they understand. And I got a lot of information, a lot of help. And then many, many years later, I think I just stopped 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed in 99.
Wow.
I went every month. And I just felt like, and there's 6 of us, we were all diagnosed at the same time. And we would go every month, dress up, put makeup on, look as good as we could to show the new people coming in, hey, we're alive.
Oh, right. Oh, that's important,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, we
that's
did that
really a great idea.
We did that for a long, long time. We found now that I think the breast cancer support group, we used to have 20, 25 people, and they're like 4 or 5. I think there's so much out there on the internet. People are just not seeking the personal support.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it
because
really
that's
is.
Powerful.
Yeah, it is.
I know through my addiction time, I having those people, being in a room at train wrecks,
Right.
was really good for me.
Right.
I needed that, and that put me on 26 years of it.
Yeah.
So that's really important. I think
Yeah,
really
no, I
important.
don't go anymore, but the felicitator has all of our emails and gets in touch with us if somebody's new and has a particular problem or is going through a specific thing that one of us went through. She'll contact us and we reach out.
So you are one of 3.5 million breast cancer survivors.
Wow.
Yeah, 3.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. What,
And I'm here.
Yes.
I always say you're 1 in 3.5 million.
Yeah,
Mom.
I am.
Right. How long have you been cancer free?
Well, my surgery was in 99.
Okay.
So
And nothing, just
Nothing.
clean bill of health.
Yeah.
And how often do you
That'd be
go
20
back
years,
and
by the way.
check?
You look at me to do the math.
what? Yeah, look, how many years? 20?
That'd be 20.
That would be
Yeah.
20.
Well, I
It
guess
is
coming
20.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the same thing, man.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
like-
99 was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's like, no,
well, it's
dude,
funny.
it's
It's a
20
good
years ago.
thing. It's a good thing in a survivor's world when you have to figure it out because I used
Right.
to know to the minute almost.
Yeah.
So
great
having
point.
to think,
Yeah.
how long ago was that?
Yeah. Great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. So well, we got off track for a second. You had asked me something.
There's no track.
Yeah,
There's no track.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
I was probably lying about something anyway. So, basically a chimp. So, so what then motivated you? I mean, obviously, what your mom went through motivated you to do this. But when did you do this? And what was the trigger that said, okay, I need to do something to help?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it was, we've been the foundation for 18 months, an official nonprofit for 18 months. My background's in entertainment, content, marketing. I'd always used my skills toward getting a paycheck, basically.
Right.
And I kind of reached a point in my life where I got a great wife, great kids, live in a nice area. I'm real content and happy with everything. But I don't know if a combination of my age and maybe that I hadn't done so much for the greater good just for goodness sake. And then with my mom's history, I just kind of was seeking a purpose and saying, where could I put my energy and my skills and my time, as much as I love binge watching Netflix and doing that sort of thing, I wanted to do something with a little bit more substance. And that's how the whole thing started. I had a buddy, Rich Wakefield, that was kicking around a wordplay, and it was around breast cancer awareness time. And he's a real creative guy, and he was doing a wordplay with changing pine to pink, and I sat with that for months, and I just thought there was clever, there was something there, that was neat. I liked how simple and clean it was.
Right.
And then I'm walking up Scout Way and turn left in Doylestown. I'm on Pine Street, and I look up, and I was with my 9.5-year-old, and I'm a big fan of, as opposed to preaching, I like to show him, and so I said, Case, I wonder if we can get the street sign changed here, you know. And he's like, well, why would you want to do that? And I kind of gave him the background. And I said, like, let's see how we would do this. I didn't even know who. Now it's like I understand how to navigate this with my eyes closed, but then I didn't. I was like, who do I have to meet with? I found out I have to meet with the city manager to get approval and had to get borough approval. And so I asked, and they granted it and said, yeah. And so once I got the yeah, then I was like, all right, well, what am I going to do with this? You know, and
Well,
then,
that's no small deal, I wouldn't think, man. How do you get a street name changed? I mean, like they just said, okay.
well,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I kind of,
Well, the mayor did say you say no to Keith. You never say no to Keith.
I may have,
Yeah, right?
I may have a knack of getting people to do things.
There we go.
Maybe
Make them
he
an offer they
does.
can't refuse.
Maybe that's
Horse
what-
head in the bed.
Yeah, I always keep it legal.
Right.
And,
That's
and
good, yeah.
no one gets hurt.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, I did abbreviate the story, but for the most, for all intensive purposes, it was green lit. And you know, part of my pitch was like, look, we'll just put a sticker over to E, and you know, we're not ripping signs down or doing anything crazy. And we just changed it you know, for the month. And once that happened, then it was like, all right, well, what can this turn into? And what I did was I looked at it as a donor. I've written checks before to nonprofits to help people, and they're all great. And there's a lot of people doing amazing things to change lives. And I said to myself, what are the things that piss me off? And I said, well, one is I don't necessarily want my money to go to Chickahominy, Tennessee, because I live in you know, Bucks County. And
Right.
God bless everyone in Chickahominy, but I'd like to help people locally. I think that's kind of a big deal, and it gets lost when it just kind of goes out to the
Yep.
to the stratosphere. So there was that, and then there was the transparency. So I write the check, and there it goes. Who does it help? When does it help? How does it help? You know, all of those. I have
and
no
how much
clue.
is going to help?
And how
what
mu-
percentage? Right?
That got me. You know, if
Yeah.
I hear like you know 30 cents of every dollar, it just drives me nuts.
Me too.
So I said, if I'm going to be the big boss man and I'm going to be able to control these things, then I'm going to stick to you know I'm going to answer all these questions that I have, and I'm going to avoid all these pitfalls because I can.
Right.
And so that's how that was the foundation. The foundation was that we were going to be transparent about where the money went, who it helped, how it helped. So I used the blog, I used the social media, I used the website, and I tell people, I just wrote a check for $10,000. It went to bring in a group called Unite for Her. It came to the Doylestown Cancer Institute. 70 people attended. They got
Reiki?
they got, well, what's it called?
Acupuncture.
Integrative
Integrative
services, like Reiki and acupuncture and yoga. And that is what just happened with that $10,000. And everyone goes, well, that's amazing. And,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. And then, yeah, the local for local aspect is when I go to get sponsors, and my mom and my wife go to get sponsors, they want to know that the money's being kept in the community because that's who they care for and care about, and those are their customers. So the cool thing is when we get sponsors, whatever hard costs the foundation incurs, be it marketing dollars or getting T-shirts printed or paying for an accountant to do our taxes, whatever they are,
Right.
it's pretty minimal at this point because we're a small foundation, but all those hard costs are picked up by the sponsors' money.
Right.
So by the time this nonprofit launches, every single dollar and 100% of the dollars go to the local breast cancer patients. So, I mean, those were just some very basic things that I felt were very simple and easy to do. So we do them, and we're going to continue doing them as we scale Pine2Pink because there's 5,000, you know, Pine Streets across the U.S. So the idea would be to scale across the country and change as many Pine2Pinks and bring this program, which is a month long, to as many cities. It'll always be local for local. So if we're in Santa Cruz, California, we're going to raise money for the people in Santa Cruz.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love
so,
that.
and then the other piece is just so people listening can understand what Pine2Pink is. We changed the street sign, yes. We also changed the lights in town. So
I saw that. Yeah, that's
everything
awesome.
is pink,
T-
yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
and we launched an app. The idea with all of what we do, we're trying to create an experience versus creating just an event or something that people attend. We want it to be something that is engaging and visceral and something that people can participate in either by themselves or with their family. and kind of flip the script on fundraising. It's a little antiquated, you know. God bless the ribbons on the poles, and I get all that stuff and show up at the race at 8 a.m. and run it, and that's great. But I just wanted to try to find a way to use technology and engage people in a more meaningful way. And you know, from what I can tell in the short time we've been doing this, and my analogy to explain what it's like for people from the outside, for a guy and his mom and wife to start a nonprofit that have never done it before with no experience and didn't have any money in the bank to do it. We are like a windsock now in the back of a motorcycle holding on for dear life, because we get phone calls and emails regularly, almost daily, from people that want to do something with us or for us. And we're now managing it versus having to go out and push it like we were last year.
That's
It's
awesome.
been great.
Yeah, it's self-perpetuating in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know.
Yeah, I think it's ticking all the boxes for people, because it's like, do you want to help local breast cancer patients? Yes. Do you want the money to stay here? Yes. Do you want to get customers to come into your store and collect the virtual ribbon we're going to put in there? Yes. Like, it's just a bunch of simple yeses, and everything that we end up doing ends up being a win-win. So if we had an event at Fox and Holly, which is a department store, family run in Doylestown, and you know, they put together an evening with their they produced the event, ended up raising $10,300 in a night.
Whoa.
And while it was great for the community, it was also, you know, got people in their store that maybe
Right.
had never been there.
Of course.
And, you know, like, why can't they win when we win? I think it's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
You know?
well, it's necessary for sure.
Yeah, our foundation's using their footprint, their store, their customers, and you know, they're working with us in order to, you know, have a foothold in the community in a different way that they normally wouldn't be able to do, and they're able to give back, and it just worked. It's kind of a no-brainer.
All right. Speaking of engagement, just to change gears here for a minute, those of you that are watching live, and would you please do us this favor and share this out. Hit that share button, share, whether you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, please share it out. Or if you're going to watch a replay, share it out there. This is so important, and I'm so honored to be able to host this today. So it's really important. How did you have any idea how October became Cancer Awareness Month or Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I wonder where they picked October. I wonder who picked it.
Yeah.
That's one thing I didn't Google.
You know,
time.
Has it? It's been a while, huh?
You know, October historically it's a noisy month. It's Halloween.
Yeah.
You know,
It's my birthday yesterday.
happy birthday. I mean,
Yeah.
that alone.
Did you leave my gift in the car? Or?
I did. I wrote
Okay.
you a check. Actually, it's right here.
Okay.
I gotta give it. I'm gonna sign it back over to you. So October's a noisy month, and one thing with the foundation and being attached to October, as we move and grow, I'm not going to be beholden to the month. I feel like as we scale,
Great.
we're going to open it up. You know, I'm going
Yes.
to be shutting one down in California while we're starting one in Texas, and you know, it could be in February, it could be in March, it could be in April. It doesn't just have to be confined to the month, and it won't be.
Right. Now, you obviously you'll have to ultimately physically be there at some point for these other cities. Yes or no?
I'm working on cloning right now,
Right.
which is going slowly.
But a lot of it can be done digitally, obviously, you know, through technology.
Yeah, well, here's the
And
deal.
social.
We've got the game plan. You know, Mom, I'll give you a perfect example. My mom turned New Hope pink pretty much on her own this year. I didn't have the bandwidth to do it. I did Doylestown, Peddlers Village, and Carversville. And the joke about Carversville is it's one block, so it was one light, so it wasn't a big deal. But
Peddler's Village is
yeah, Peddlers Village was a
New
big
Hope.
deal, but they had a big marketing push behind it and a lot of resources and people, so that helped us immensely. But my mom literally had to go door to door and explain who she was, what the foundation was, and how they could participate, times 100+ retailers. And so it took a long time to kind of turn that town around. But
Yeah.
we know the beats now, so we almost can have a package put together where if New Britain or Yardley or Newtown want
Right.
to bring in Pine2Pink, these are the very simple steps that we take, and this is what we do. And we get involved with the Chamber of Commerce there, and we bring the retailers in, and we talk to them about how it would work, and make it more plug and play.
Yeah.
The other thing that we do, which has been a massive success, is realize we put ourselves in the point of the retailer. And a perfect example is there's a woman named Migdalia that owns Doylestown Float Studio, and she's like, I don't know what I can do to like offer a proceeds split for you guys, where someone might come in and I can give you a percentage. Like what? And we're sitting there talking, and she has these float pods that people float in salt water for therapy.
Huh.
And they had lights. So it became very evident to us that we could turn the pod pink. And if someone chose during the month of October to have a pink pod, a percentage of that float would go to Pine2Pink.
Awesome.
And then she hashtag Pod2Pink. And now she creates social assets, shares it out, and that helps with my awareness. And it gets and we can do a proceeds split that way. That wasn't me or my mom or Christina saying, this is what you need to do to work with Pine2Pink. That was us having enough foresight to say, what is going to work best for your business? Let's try to find a way to make it work. And she'll raise a lot of money throughout the month that way. Right.
I think a lot of business owners, me being one of them, we're blessed to be able to do it. And it's funny how that works. The more you give, the more you seem to get. If you don't have that as a motivation, you don't do it to get, you do it to do it. And we've been able to do that. And
I always use the simple phrase, and I use it with my kids, and I use it with adults. It's just good for goodness sake.
Yeah, man.
Imagine that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's, for the business owner, it makes business owners most feel good about doing something like that. And for those of you that own dealerships, that are in my audience, because they are, being the Recruiter Podcast and being in the automobile business, reach in your deep, deep wallets, in your big pockets, and
Like Thompson did this
I
year.
know. I was
let's
gonna
give
say.
these people some money.
Like
I saw
Thompson.
that.
You want to
Yeah.
hear this
The
story?
Toyota dealership, right?
So that was my mom got that whole thing going, right? She stuck with Thompson Toyota, and you get it. They're a behemoth in Doylestown that they get hit up probably 10 times a week from different organizations.
Yeah, minimum.
And they want to know that you're legit and that you got it going on. So I understand how maybe they weren't so apt to be on my first year, which was last year. And this year, my mom kept sending them notices and giving them updates and sending them emails and letters. And bottom line is they ended up signing on as a substantial sponsor. Then they ended up leveraging their creativity and their resources. And they turned their entire dealership of, what do we have? Toyota,
Lexus.
Maserati, Lexus, BMW, and there's one more I'm forgetting, but they turned 250 lights on their dealership pink, so you could see this dealership from space. And then they have a big lit archway around their Toyota that turned pink. They created this film, and they got the pigment through their detail shop, and they made the perfect pink. And it was like 8 iterations that they went through. These guys were perfectionists. Then they put this sticky, paper over all the lighted areas in the entire campus. And then to get better than that, which I didn't think they could, there's this fellow, Julius, who's the GM for their Toyota group, and he says, why don't we get survivors, family members, and people going through treatment to sign the wall, and we'll do a shine and sign event.
Jeez.
It was the most poignant thing
It was.
that we had done
Wow.
to date. I mean, people were, just sharing either a memory or a line of encouragement, or I'm doing this for my mom, or I did this for my,
Beautiful.
It was fantastic. And all that came from, a dealership completely embracing Pine2Pink, and then trying to figure out how they could leverage their people and their resources to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And they do the traditional thing, like they take a full page ad out in the Bucks County Herald. I think they do that regularly, but they turned the ad pink for the entire month of October, and they gave a shout out to Pine2Pink. We're pink because of Pine2Pink.
Oh, man.
So if we just replicated that model throughout dealerships around the country, we could use that to scale.
Right.
It's stuff like that we couldn't sit down and dream up.
Right. Well, car dealers, let's see, do they deserve a bad rap? I gave a presentation last week in Tampa, and I started it out with, actually I had a whole presentation written, and I literally tore it up on stage and said, okay, that sucked. This one's just off the top of my head. And I talked about the old days. I've been in the car business 47 years. So most of the stuff that was processed back then.
So since you were one?
Totally. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Most of what we did back then is literally illegal today. I mean, literally. So I would constantly apologize as a joke. I'm sorry. I'm the reason you don't have company demonstrators anymore. And then I go further in the story. I'm the reason you don't have Christmas parties anymore. And I go further in the story. But car dealers do get a bad rap, and basically on stuff like from 30, 40 years ago,
Right.
25 years ago. But they're the most giving, overall, broad stroke, the most giving people. What they do in communities is really, for the most part, just unbelievable. Like this, Thompson Toyota.
Yeah, it's Thompson Organization.
Right, they have
and-
many dealerships.
And then
yeah.
they have all those different. Yeah.
Shout out to you folks. And again, my car dealer friends, get in your pockets, and and we're going to give you where to send money and how to do this and how to sponsor and all the contact information to get a hold of Keith and the organization. But I would really appreciate it if you guys would write some checks. This is important, and some of you owe me favors, so.
Nah,
Go ahead
there you
and make good on those. I'd appreciate it very
you're
much.
guilting people.
Yeah, guilt works. I don't care.
Yeah, we don't care how.
No, I really don't care.
We're good with guilt.
Yeah.
They do it to me, so I'll do it to them.
Yeah. I mean, the other piece to this that we haven't even discussed yet, and that's one thing I love about it. There is no such thing as like an elevator pitch for Pine2Pink. It's like when everyone says, like, real quick, I only have a minute.
Yeah,
What
right.
do you do? I say, well, let's schedule an appointment when you have more than a minute.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm not, you know what I mean?
right.
It's involved.
Yeah, saving lives takes more than a minute.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're trying to do something new and innovative, and in doing that, it's a little, it takes a little bit to explain what we're doing, and
Right.
so the other aspect of this this nonprofit is this app, and it's a free app that people can download, and we place virtual pink ribbons all around the town, inside places of business and other points of interest. And people can download the app for free, and they walk around like Pokemon Go, and they touch the screen. And they can capture the ribbons. The more ribbons they capture, the bigger the prizes that they can get.
Oh, that's cool.
So when I was going into stores when we initially launched this and saying, would you like to participate in Pine2Pink, they would say like, well, what do you need from me? I said, nothing. I'm giving you a virtual ribbon. And they're like, well, you're going to give me a virtual ribbon and have people come in my store, find the ribbon, and once they're in my store, I can do whatever I want? And I said, absolutely. And they're like, yeah, sign me up. Then they would call us and say, do you need a raffle? Do you need a prize? And as opposed to me walking in there saying, can I get a prize for this, or can I get a raffle? So we were giving.
Awesome.
So,
Great idea.
So we ended up doing that, and I had a private donor this year donate 2 round-trip plane tickets anywhere in the U.S.
Wow.
And along with 59 other pretty amazing prizes. So when people collect these ribbons, there's a pot at the end of the rainbow. And then what I do, I didn't want a barrier of entry. So I didn't want to charge them $1 or make them donate, but I lightly hint throughout the process, have you donated yet? Because my big thing here is whether we're offering, whether we're changing the lights or we're changing the street sign or they're collecting ribbons, I need to convert that. If that doesn't convert to $1 or more, I'm not doing my job as the owner of a nonprofit. Because I think we all kind of say, look, Keith or Marianne or Christina, we're all aware of this, So the awareness factor isn't necessarily something that we have to hound on.
Right.
What we have to do is find engaging ways to get people to participate and experience something, and then at the end of the day feel comfortable making a donation based off of that.
Well, in light of the name of the podcast, the Recruiter Podcast, and we talk about recruiting in an entirely different way, but you really are recruiting fans of the nonprofit, of the subject to help you. And am I assuming correctly that you have a lot of hand raisers out there, like, how can we help?
Yeah.
Other than money. Would I be correct in saying that? That you
Oh,
do
yeah.
get help from just people that like, what can I do? How can I help you? And that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, they want to volunteer their time.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do people?
You know.
Well, we'll get to that because I really want to like repeat it a couple times so people can write this stuff down.
Right.
And then how to do certain things. What's the name of the app? First of all, wait a minute. Let me find
It's
it.
It's
just Pine2Pink.
All right. When you guys look up Pine2Pink, I was wrong a couple times. It's Pine, P-I-N-E, the number 2, Pink, P-I-N-K. So,
Here, Adam will, being the awesome producer he is,
he is awesome.
he'll know to zoom that camera in over there. What?
Other camera.
Other camera.
There we go.
There we go. Forgot
Oh,
about
I
that
see it. Awesome.
one. So
It's under lifestyle. Huh. That's interesting.
you can see these virtual ribbons here. This is the town of Doylestown. We've had ribbons all over. What?
Put it closer.
Put it closer to the camera. There we go.
There you go.
I didn't realize they yell at you here.
Yeah, they do. He's millionaire producer. He can do anything he wants.
And then you would tap the ribbon and see where the location is, and you would go to your AR screen, and you would find the ribbon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Times 200 times. So you know what that does from a retail standpoint or from a business standpoint is it creates footfall. So when I drop a ribbon above a Lexus or above a in Migdalia's Doylestown Float Studio, or it's in sticky situations in Peddler's Village, people go and seek those ribbons. They walk into those stores and then they learn about companies and people that maybe they never would have before. So you know, there's that built-in benefit.
Right.
I wanted Keith, when he first did it, to charge. You know, you found 5 ribbons. Now for $1, you can, for
Right.
$1 donation, you can go on, or a $5 donation. He didn't want to do that.
Well, I always
No.
put myself in the place of the person. If I own the store, do I like what this guy's saying? If I own the company and he's trying to
Right.
get $5,000 out of me, do I think it's worthy?
Yeah.
I put myself using the app, and I'd feel bilked.
Right.
If I had gone through that and then you're trying to squeeze money out of me, I might just go no.
He just reminds them as you go along.
And I
Have you
might not be
donated
right,
yet?
you know. But for right now, I feel like we got to make it as easy as possible
Yeah, easy's good.
without a barrier to
Right.
entry.
Yeah,
And hope
it-
that $1 we might charge is actually turns into 5 or 10.
Yeah,
Right.
or more. Right. Yeah, business owners have enough decisions to make. The easier you make things on people, especially to give, is
Right.
the better.
I mean, the other thing that we have too, we have about 40 proceed splits out there. So my dad said, why don't you get this company, Jules, that makes pizza, why don't you get them to make a Pine2Pink pizza, and then you can get a percentage of every slice. And I was like, that is a fantastic idea. So we've now extrapolated that out about 40 times. So you can go to the Black Bass and get a dessert and a cocktail, and I'll get a percentage
Where is
of
that?
that.
Is that in New Hope?
Lumberville.
It's in Lumberville.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a really nice,
Well, I've
kind of
eaten there, I
cool
think.
hotel restaurant on the river.
yeah.
But like
I've eaten there.
Yeah, I have 40 of those out there. So that's a great way for people to engage and fill their stomach while they fill our coffers.
When I originally came, I'm originally from Ohio. When I originally came to New Jersey, I was part owners on another consulting company a million years ago, and I stayed. This car dealer owned this massive mansion in Washington Crossing, and I lived in his guest home, which is like nicer than 95% of the world lives in. What's this, like, I don't know what it was supposed to be, maid's cottage or whatever it was. But so I lived there, and I just kind of happened. I had no clue where I was, what was happening around there, and I just kind of drove into New Hope, and it was like, oh wow, this is cool. There's a little restaurant I've been trying to, and I should have looked it up, but it's right by the falls. It's down a side street, and it's the first. Like if you turn down the street, it's right on the left-hand side, and it's just a cute little restaurant, really good food. It's got like a little outside eating area, but it's got like glass, and you kind of eat under the glass porch or patio. Do you know
Was
what
this long ago?
Huh?
Was this long ago?
Yeah. But it's, I don't know, I've been to
Carlos?
Carlos.
Carlos.
Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They call me One Hit Fenimore.
There you
I,
go.
I love Carlos. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just I ate there and it was like, oh, this is good, and the service was cool, and I just kind of like the whole aura of that whole town is kind of cool.
Yeah,
It's,
so-
you get a lot of diversity there
Yeah,
for sure.
it's great. So in New Hope, that's Mechanic Street. We turn Mechanic Street to Pink Street. Turn
Really?
all the lights pink, and so that's Pink Street in New
What,
Hope.
in front of the theater and everything, all the way down at where the falls are.
The whole town is pink, but
man, that's
going
awesome.
up Mechanic Street is our Pink Street for the month.
Jeez, that's
and we,
great.
Doylestown already had a Pine Street, so we just easily turn that to pink.
Right.
When we have a city or a town that doesn't have Pine Street, they go, well, how do we participate? I
Right.
said, very simply, we make a street Pine Street for the month,
Right.
and then I change it to pink.
Right.
And then the end of the month, we take it down.
Right. That's pretty simple.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Right.
So and like Peddler's Village doesn't have their pathways in the main green area of Peddler's Village don't have names at all. So we just made Pine Street signs, put them on the poles, and changed to Pink Street.
Yeah.
So
Man, you got retailer after retailer. I mean, that's got to be up.
Peddler's Village is fantastic. Yeah.
Right? It
Yeah.
was like, and I would think we spoke about guilt earlier, but I mean, it's almost like, well, they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you
Right.
don't have to say that, but it's almost like left unsaid. It's like, well, I was just
Well,
at
I did that. I have to tell you, I did that in New Hope.
right.
I would go and, I would just go in and just say,
Sure.
I just have a favor. Can you turn your light pink? And they'd look at me and go, well, what else can I do? And I'd be,
really?
well,
Do they?
John and Peters is doing a drink. You could do a drink. And they go, oh, that's a great idea. I'll do that.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
was kind of easy to go in that
Right.
way. Like I only wanted a light. I wasn't looking for a donation. I wasn't looking for money.
Right.
And some people, if they didn't have a restaurant and they'd say, well, what can I do? I go, well, we're having we have a scavenger hunt. You can give us, a gift certificate or something. Oh, okay.
How about the bed and breakfasts there? How could you work
Well,
that out? Because there's so, I mean,
we
it's
have
like
that.
every
We
other
have
house.
that. Porches in New
Porches
Hope.
gave a night.
Oh,
gave us a
I've
night.
stayed there.
Oh, isn't it lovely?
Yeah, I like
and
that
the guy
place a
is
lot.
so nice.
Well,
yeah.
if you collect 150 ribbons,
You
you
get
can
a free
stay there
night.
for a night, possibly, if you win it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know where it'd
Yeah.
be cool? It would be Cape May.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
an awesome place for this.
Yeah, Cape May
Yeah.
is also a woman named Karen Thompson that owns multiple stores in Peddler's Village and Fox and Holly. She has a store out there in Cape May. So it would be a natural extension, and it is very similar to a Peddler's Village, where
Right,
it's, it's
exactly.
like it's quaint and it attracts a lot of people.
Right.
So this is where we're at, just so you know. Thankfully, because of the success of this thing, we have opportunity to keep expanding. But it's me, my mom, and my wife.
Right.
And it's something we do in between, well, at least me, other jobs and kids and everything else. So
Right.
what we need and where we are right now because I don't want to expand in spite of itself. And we have to hold the integrity of what we're doing and make sure that, it's pulled off the way it needs to get pulled off. And that's really important to us.
Yeah. Well, it could get sketchy if you don't. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to be almost micromanage this growth.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what we need in order to get there at this point, before we expand anymore, would be an underwriting of some sort, be it a brand or a pharmaceutical or other, that could give us the operational money that we would need to get a staff,
Right.
even if it's a part-time type situation,
Right.
and be able to dole out some of these jobs that we've been doing in order to scale the way we need to get scale.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, it's finding. I'm trying to navigate that myself right now. I mean, I meet with everybody and I talk to them about what we've done and what we hope to do, and kind of have a forecasting of what it might cost in order to bring people in that we would need.
Can you
to
disclose
bring
that
in.
dollar amount? Or do you want to?
I mean, I'm north of $300,000.
That you need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like the next big step.
The next big step, because
We need to hire somebody.
what
Right,
I don't want
right.
to what I don't want to do is I never want to use the money I raise from the community to help support any administrative. I want the administrative
Gotcha.
underwritten, be it a grant, a trust, or a brand, or
Right.
something along those lines.
Right.
I don't want to have to sit there and justify forget about justifying. I just don't want to be set up so that I take money from the community in order to support the foundation. So I always look to the brands and businesses to help kind of underwrite that. And, for me, does it make sense down the road to have like a Johnson & Johnson participate? Maybe. Does it make sense to get a water company or a major retailer in some regard that cares about women's health to come on board and underwrite it? I mean, we think about stuff all the time, like this one brand that makes this shampoo could turn the shampoo bottle pink and then give a percentage of those proceeds from the pink bottled shampoo to Pine2Pink that could float us to the point where that would take care of all of our administrative fees in order to scale properly across the country. So, what that looks like, I'm not 100% sure right now. I just know before we continue turning towns pink and scaling this thing that it's going to have to be
I told Keith,
substantial.
please, we need help.
Right.
As great as it's been, we can't expand until we have that help.
Right.
And if we don't expand, we're not like, there's no gun to our head. It's just the reality is, I guess this is the thing that frustrates me the most. We've identified a program that works, that communities get behind, that retailers get behind, that raises a lot of money, and that helps people. So the sooner we can figure out how to make it bigger and scale, the more people we're going to be able to, so do I have to, how long is that going to take, and what's going to be that lightning in the bottle? I mean, there are ridiculous things like, and people have said, Pink is from Doylestown. I know she's from Doylestown and she's pink, and imagine if Pink turned the country pink. I mean, it makes good sense.
Oh, wait. I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's like, if I build it, my theory has always been, if I build it, Pink will come.
Well, you put it out there in the universe, that could happen. Have you contacted her?
Well, I mean, we know plenty of people that know her parents and that sort of thing. I guess I'm trying to be respectful of the whole deal. I worked in the entertainment.
Screw that. Just pound her on social, man.
I worked in the entertainment industry in LA and New York for a lot of years.
Yeah,
and I know the inundation there, and I know when something works, it works for a reason, and people have to be like kind of passionate about it. I just don't want to be that dude that sends her the note that says, "Hey, I happen to live a block from where you grew up, and I'd like to see if you know what I mean."
Right.
It'll happen. That's why I'm talking to you right now, and that's why I just said that. But it's passive.
Right. Pink, come on, man.
Yeah. But and I look at that. That's not really a business plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
So that is what it is. But I do think it is very realistic for a pharmaceutical, or for someone in oncology, or for a brand that cares about women's health and women's issues to say, hey, you know what? We can get a hold of this guy. We have 20 offices across the U.S. We can use those as geographic markers to have him expand this to all these different areas, and overnight, off we go.
I'm partners with a woman by the name of Lisa Copeland. She owns a company called Cars Her Way. It's obviously directed towards female buyers, and we recruit females into the automobile industry and so forth. She lives in Austin, and that would be a really good place for you guys to go.
Yeah.
And let me talk to her. And I know a lot of rich people.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
We just need to grab them by their ankles, turn them upside down, and shake them out a little bit, and see what falls. Yeah, I mean, because right now we have the blueprint to know when we go into Austin, we meet with the city manager, we meet with the borough, the township, the municipalities, what we have to do. It's all very simple. It's pretty cheap, all in. You know what I mean? Like we know the beats. It's not that. It's just about...
well, you met with the mayor in Santa Cruz, right? Aren't they ready and waiting?
Yeah, I've met with the mayor in Santa Cruz twice.
Oh, good.
But I mean, geographically, I want that story of being able to say that, we're bi-coastal, and they're interested in participating, and they have a women's entrepreneurial group in Santa Cruz that run their, part of their commerce. And they have an economic development division, which would understand the benefits of bringing something like this in to spark commerce and all that. It's all there ready, but I'm 3,000 miles away. And how does that happen?
Right. Well, oddly enough, or interestingly enough, perhaps next week from today, I have a woman from Toronto is going to be on the podcast. Katie Mares is her name, and she speaks all over the world. And I'm going to talk to her about that. And, I mean, obviously, you would have no problem with me contacting all the people that I know.
No, yeah,
and
I
have
mean,
them get a hold of you, right?
yeah, I can give you, our website is really intuitive and great and has a lot of stuff on it. And then we also have decks that kind of break down the program because, we said it's a little beefy and maybe hard to understand right at first. But, we have all that. We have those marketing materials. That's the great thing is we have 2 years of proven success at this point. So the case study, it's there. We're kind of past that part, which is great. I think it's about expanding the audience, and talking to people like yourself and doing podcasts and radio interviews and TV shows and whatever else to get the word out there, and to pique people's interest and realize like, wow, so you're telling me all I need to do to get involved in this organization is, donate a big check. I can do that. It's easy.
Yeah, right.
And see, that's easy for a lot of people. For me,
Right.
it was the idea and zero money in the bank account.
Right.
A lot of people have the money and go, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
now you do.
Yeah, like, yeah. Well, yeah. Not to make a huge deal about it, but me handing you a check this morning is like all you got to do is sign your name and fill out some.
That was sensational, by the way.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome. But
Very generous.
But
Our appearance fee is $1,000, just so you know, so you're a little short of that. But
all right, let me see what the year end looks like. See how much more I need
Oh
to
my God.
deduct.
No, that was so generous of you, Craig. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
It was a substantial donation. I don't know if you wanted me to say it, but it was very nice.
You're welcome. I'm blessed to be able to do it, and I appreciate it. But my point is that doing that is relatively,
Easy.
it is easy. Rolling up your sleeves and really working at it, that's a whole nother level of commitment, and that's what we really need.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
need both, but
Yeah.
we really need people.
Yeah, we and volunteers are great, but they're volunteers. They give you what they can when they can. So
Right, and it
that's-
doesn't always line up with what you need at the
Right.
time, right?
Yeah, and then you end up taking it on yourself and doing it, or it ends up becoming more work for you to try to explain and get people up to speed. Then you do, and then you turn around and maybe you can't
Right.
rely on them like you thought you could. And,
Right.
and I love well-intended people, and I do feel like the people that are naturally drawn to us in the Pine2Pink are fantastic, amazing humans. But at the same point, the dollar is what really kind of anchors people into the
Right.
effort,
Right.
and that's why you need it. I mean, I'm not going to be paying people, massive sums of money. We're going to be,
Right.
we're going to be a stealthy nonprofit. We've been
Right.
running on fumes with 3 people for 2 years and
Right.
having success that we could have only dreamt of.
Right.
So yeah, it's just it's an interesting crossroads where we are now, and I'm perfectly content. Like we said earlier, and I want to make very clear, we'll continue doing what we're doing, where we're doing it, and raising the money we can because we are affecting lives at the end of the day. I mean, there's been nothing more amazing in my life than having people tell us that as something as silly as doing a float in the Memorial Day Parade in Doylestown was a turning point in this woman, Cap Kelly's treatment, where she had been undergoing treatment. And that was like the moment where she just realized that everything was going to be okay and that she had the fortitude to continue on. And she broke down on that float. And, that when my mom and I hear that, you can't,
Yeah, man.
I
get it.
What do you say?
Right.
So that's all the motivation I think
Yeah.
we need. And we'll keep doing that in our area as long as we have Aaron, our brother.
Right. Well, you talk about that area, and basically we're talking about Bucks County. It's like, I don't know, how many people are we talking about? 100,000 or? In
No,
the
it's
county?
way bigger than that.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, Doylestown itself is about 28 in the borough and the township. And then
If you've never been there, and they probably don't want to hear this, Doylestown is like a postcard. It's like a really clean New Hope. That's the way I would put it. It's really
No, it's
beautiful.
clean.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the restaurant I ate there, but I dated a girl for a very short time there. But Doylestown's awesome. It's beautiful. But
And they got a cool cultural scene there,
Yeah.
and it is a really appealing place. It's close to Philadelphia. It's close to New York. I mean, Bucks County is a pretty special place all in. And,
right,
and we're,
how many people? What is the population? Would you
I
guess?
don't know. Yeah.
200. Even if it's 200,000 people, there's probably more. But let's say if it's even 200,000 people, we're talking about. At 1 out of 8, I don't even want to do that math. So if it's 1 out of 10, we're talking about 20,000 people that's going to affect.
Yeah, I
Women,
mean-
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like
Unfortunately,
it's a big number,
our-
man.
Yeah, our Doylestown Cancer Institute, which is part of Doylestown Health,
Right.
one of the preeminent private hospitals in the entire country, run by a group of women that form the Village Improvement Association called the VIA, and this hospital is just top tier, and they have north of a couple hundred women or patients, because men too, that would go through that breast cancer program a year. So that's a lot of people for
Wow.
a pretty small area. There's definitely, I mean, when we had our press conference, right? I think 8 people spoke. We had State Senator Stephen Santaserio. We had Rob Lockery, who's the chairman of the Bucks County Commissioners. We had Maria Gallo, Dr. Maria Gallo, who's the president of Del Valle University, our mayor, Ron Strauss. Every one of them had a first person or one removed story of losing or someone beating breast cancer.
Right.
I
yeah.
mean-
it's
Yeah.
right. That, I can imagine that's the 7 separation of Kevin Bacon. It's like everybody knows somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's been
Yeah.
it affects everybody in one way or another, without a doubt. Right.
Yeah.
And so, we look to we've been working really nicely with the Doylestown Cancer Institute, and we'll say to them, okay, what do your patients need? And then we kind of take their lead on that, and we've been able to create a bunch of programs that are basically desperately in need and that help people in treatment and recovery. So, yeah. I mean,
I have a listener. We have a listener. The population of Doylestown in 2017 is 8,315 people. New Hope 2,517. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.
well, wait, Anthony's wrong, but thanks.
Maybe just Doylestown, but
I mean,
Bucks County.
I know that
Proper,
Doylestown is 8,000 in the borough and like
Right.
24 in the township. So together,
Yeah.
whatever
Right,
that is.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's a substantial group of people, and it's a pretty special community to embrace Pine2Pink, and we made it a success because people kind of took I didn't have a background in nonprofit. I didn't have anything to show for myself other than a passion, a drive, and a pretty clear vision.
Right.
And they all bought in.
Right.
And then it was up to me and my mom and Christina to deliver, and we did. It damn near killed us, but we did it. And then we came back this year and said, well, how can we kill ourselves again? And let's expand. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right.
So-
well, there's more than 24 hours in a day, isn't there?
Yeah. It's
I mean, is this how else do you feed your family? I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm a consultant. I work pretty regularly in marketing. So there's a company out of Wisconsin called Sun Graphics Media, and we do marketing and branding. And that's part of my life. And then the other part is ASGAV, which is a video and event production company. I mean, I spent 16 years in Los Angeles in marketing and PR, and then I was a writer, director, an executive producer selling and creating TV shows, and I launched the Movie Network Reels channel, and then moved to New York and ran original series and specials for the Howard Stern Show. And so my background is squarely in creating content and getting people to turn their heads and pay attention to things. That's what I've made a living doing. So, with the 2 companies I'm working with now, I get to do what's in my wheelhouse, and then I get to apply that exact same thing
Right.
to the nonprofits. I'm also the president of the Oscar Hammerstein Museum and Theater Education Center. People don't realize this, but Oscar Hammerstein II wrote Sound of Music, South Pacific, Carousel. all of those from his home in Doylestown. And it's in jeopardy of being either privatized or knocked down. And they started a nonprofit to save his home because it's part of the legacy. You know what I mean? He looked out a window on the second floor of that house and wrote, "Oh, what a beautiful morning." The last lyric he wrote for Sound of Music was in Edelweiss was "Bless my homeland forever," and then died of stomach cancer in the house.
Whoa.
I feel like,
I'm getting chills every time I hear that.
It's
story.
crazy.
Yeah.
So my house is a mile from that, and they kind of picked me up from Pine2Pink. They saw what I had done to drive awareness in a very short time with creating a movement around Pine2Pink, and they said, "Can you help us do that here?" And I happen to have an affinity for the guy and his work, and wanted to do what I could. So we're in the throes of trying to make that a reality too. You know.
Yeah, well, you didn't have enough to do, so.
That was it.
I know.
Yeah.
The mommy
that-
lays in bed at night and doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
Is he sleeping?
She watches my
Is he
kids.
working?
Yeah. I'm sleeping. Because I'm exhausted.
I know.
That's why I'm sleeping.
Hey, I know you
That's
guys.
good.
We have a dead stop at like 1:45, and we're getting close to that. Let me
this
do
is
a couple things. First of all, I'm going to, dear friends of the podcast, I apologize. You're going to get a little shortchanged today, but let me just name you off real quick. First of all, my friends, Troy Spring and Dealer World Advertising Agency. You can reach out to them on mydealerworld.com. Awesome people. Also, Tecobi.com, TECOBI, and Jason Gerdner and Scarlett and Dan Webb. Reach out to them for your Facebook advertising, get leads into your dealership, Tecobi.com, and we have rockstarinfo.com. Matt Keening and our friends at Rockstar. If you go there, you got to check out, they got these sneakers made in Italy, Rockstar sneakers. They're freaking awesome. Check that out at rockstarinfo.com. Next dates are sometime after the first of the year. I will be there, so you can come and see me. That would be awesome. Shake my hand, and we'll talk some, and hopefully I can help you out with a few things, all things recruiting. And then, last but not least, our friend Stephen Warner and Automotive HR. It's a tremendous recruiting HR onboarding platform. There is no better. And you can go to automotohr.com, or better yet, reach out to my son, Director of Operations of AutoMax Recruiting and Training, at 800-878-5090, or my other partner and General Manager, Ernie. Mention the Recruiter Podcast, and you save a couple bucks. And it's whatever software you're using for recruiting, toss it. Well, demo ours first. Then toss what you use, and because this is so much better. It's the best. So that'll pay those bills. I want to make sure all the different ways people can reach out to you. And please, again, everybody, please share this out. And I know a lot of people watch this on the replay. So what happens is this thing builds over the next week. It's like more and more and more and more, so which is kind of cool. And then, like I told you, in post-production, a couple of weeks it'll be on
32 million, right? Is that what you said?
32 million
Oh,
is right on the money.
Yeah.
It's the only fib I'm going to tell today, hopefully. But yeah, I wish. Yeah, I wouldn't need sponsors. But what are all the ways? What do you want to get out there for people to get a hold of? Not necessarily you or how do they send money? How do they help?
Yeah.
What are all the different ways?
Well,
and car dealers, I seriously, my car dealer friends, please get involved in this. So
yeah, our website is a great place to start, and that would be Pine2Pink.org.
Okay, Pine2Pink.org.
Right, and then through that you would get our PO box if you
Okay.
wanted to send a check, or you can go on PayPal and you could donate right there.
Okay.
And our PO box is PO Box 307, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, 18901. You could email me from the website directly, and that's probably a good way if you're interested in a sponsorship or a partnership or have a creative idea of how you'd like to engage. You know, my mom and I and Christina, we were always like, all right, we got through the month, and then let's be dormant, and
I know.
we'll go back up. Already, it's clear it's not happening. I got a guy
Right.
that wants to do a golf tournament. You know, we have a party that's going to happen in March, maybe another one in April. So we're going to keep doing fun events throughout the year, here and there. So all of our events are listed on the website as well, so people can come out, join those, and say hi. So that's real. And then on social media, to your point, you know, I love the likes. That's great and all, but the shares are what really,
You
know,
bet.
that's the value.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, for all of us, it's like if a check comes in or a PayPal, I've driven in my, I was driving somewhere, and before I got in my car, I got pinged and I saw PayPal $1. And I thought to myself, you know what? That person, that's what they had to give, and that's what they gave, and
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. And then
You
I
bet.
got to my location, and there was another one that was for $300, and I'm like, you know, that's a spectrum, but those are two people that just thought it was worthy and
Yes.
and gave, and
Yes.
you know, that's all we can ask. And if people want to donate their time, that's fine. We have a volunteers list, and we can put you on that if you want to try to do something from a volunteer standpoint, or you can donate financially. Did I leave anything out that you can think of, Mom?
No, I don't think so. Donate.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Donate.
Yeah.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you write all that stuff down, and then in the description of the YouTube replay of this, and then
Right.
on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, because it's we post everywhere.
Cool.
So we'll put all that information out too to try to help somehow as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, thank you so much. I know there's a lot of people that you could talk to, and the
Yep.
fact that you wanted to talk to us means a lot. And you know, thanks again for your generous donation and your time. And
You're welcome.
this was great, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you both for coming in. It was awesome.
Thank
I
you
wish,
so much.
I wish you
Thank
had more
you.
time.
Thanks.
I could
know.
sit here with you
I
guys for a
know.
couple hours, and you
Yeah,
know,
easily.
we
Yeah.
could talk about aliens or whatever.
Next
So-
time we'll bring sleeping bags.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. Hey, you know what? Let's do this again. Whenever you want to
Yeah.
to announce whatever's next or whatever. Your open invitation.
The reason, I mean, we're in the thick of it now with October. Once October's over, we have a little bit more breathing room. We wanted to make sure we came on here during the month, so it was,
Yes.
you know, more, you know, it was
Right.
appropriate to the mission. Of
course.
But yeah, if we come back another time and we won't have a hard out, then
Right.
then off we go.
Right.
Maybe
let's
we'll
do
have
that.
our amount of what we've raised.
Oh yeah, we'll be maybe
know?
we'll
Great
come back
idea.
That
on
would
and
be.
that's great, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea. Good
We
idea.
can make an announcement. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay, knuckleheads, write some checks. Help us out here. I love you, but let's go ahead and help these folks out. It's a very important issue, and let's take care of this. It doesn't seem like the drug manufacturers want to stop cancer, so let's find a way to beat them on that.
We're helping local breast cancer patients in treatment and recovery one way or another, and every donation, 100% of it goes to that plight. So, you know, it'll be money put to good use.
That's unusual. That's
Yeah.
unusual. All right. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Peace. Bye.